Hi, hello again. I'm back after a couple weeks break from making these prediction videos. So yeah, there just wasn't enough good fights for me to talk about. So yeah, well, let's start. First fight is an Australian one. It's between Jeff Horn, who is moving up from welterweight all the way to middleweight, all the way up to fight Anthony Mundine, who is of course getting on in age and all that. So Horn is the favorite to win that fight. I think, even though he's naturally the smaller guy, I think, yeah, he is. But I think Anthony Mundine is just just too far past his prime or his peak to be able to do something here, unless it is a sudden knockout or something like that. That can happen, of course, because Mundine still has enough power, punching power. So yeah, yeah. So but I think since Mundine is just too far past it, and Horn is younger and fresher, he will dominate this fight and will win on points, because Horn isn't really even at welterweight, he never was that hard puncher. He was more like a pressure fighter who could break you down, but he never could score a sudden knockout. So I would be surprised if he managed to stop Mundine. Yeah, he was only knocked out once, I believe. And that was early on in his career. So that was that fight. Horn to win on points, unanimous decision. Yes. Then let's go to the next fight, which is, let's see. Well, we have I don't know, something. I'm gonna try to go to boxer. I lost track of this. Hang on. Okay, let's go straight to Adonis Stevenson versus Stevenson-Gvozdyk. That is, the big light heavyweight matchup of this year, I think, and it will be a really good fight. I'm very interested to see how Gvozdyk does against Stevenson. Stevenson is another guy who's getting on in age, but he hasn't really shown it yet. But in his last fight, he drew against Badu Jack, but that was no shame, because Jack is now one of the best fighters in this division, and yeah. Before that, he knocked out Andre Fonfara in 2 rounds and Thomas Williams in 4. And yeah, but he's only had one fight this year and one fight last year, so he hasn't exactly been very active. While Gvozdyk has, and at his age, 41, that can be not so good. While Gvozdyk has had one fight this year in March and 2 fights last year. And yeah, Gvozdyk is younger by 10 years actually, and taller by 3 inches. And he has well, actually, Stevenson has a slight reach advantage, but not that much, an inch and a half. So, I think most likely this is the end of Stevenson's reign and his career, because, of course, this guy can always win by a knockout. But so can Gvozdyk, because both guys are really, heavy-handed and all that. But I think Gvozdyk may be slightly better on the technical side, and as I said, he's a lot younger, and he's got the height advantage and all that stuff. So I believe Gvozdyk will wear Stevenson down. I don't think he will win by a sudden knockout, very likely, but because Stevenson isn't really that easy to just catch and knock out like that. But he will score a few knockdowns, I believe, and will make Stevenson, yield. I think it will happen sometimes in the 10th round, something. Sorry, like that. I think the chance Stevenson can dominate Gvozdyk, is small, because Gvozdyk has shown himself as one of the hottest new prospects in the light heavyweight division, light heavy, let's say. So, and so the age, of course, remains a problem for Stevenson. And the fact that he hasn't really fought all the best guys in the division yet. He never wanted to fight Kovalev or Ward or a few other guys. Sullivan, Barrera, he hasn't fought either. So, Bivol has only rather recently become a champion, so we can't really count him. But this guy, he fought guys like Fonfara, who is a rather good fighter, but not in the same caliber, of course, as these guys that I mentioned. And once he did fight someone like very good, like Badu Jack, he had to struggle and to get a draw. It might have been a gift, I don't know, I haven't really watched that fight yet, so. And anyway, Gvozdyk, unless he proves to be overrated, but I don't think so, he will win. Yeah, definitely. Maybe on points also, maybe Stevenson will go the distance, he's rather tough. He's only been stopped by a really hard, heavy-handed puncher once. So, yeah, it depends what kind of strategy Gvozdyk will use, where he will go, whether he will be aggressive or he will try to box and use his physical advantage. We'll see. I think he will be rather cautious, at least in the first 6-7 rounds. Then he will, I think, open up, but he's usually not like that. He's not very cautious and all that. So, but I think here he will be. So, Gvozdyk to win either by TKO, a late one, or on points. That's my prediction. Okay. I've wasted a little too much time now, so I have to be quick. Okay, then let's just go to the big fight, shall we? Because that's gonna take some time too. Yeah. First let's say a little bit about Jarrett Hurd versus Jason Welborn. Well, this I see as a rather easy defense for Hurd because he just is in a class above. He's just in another class than Welborn. Welborn is a British and Euro level fighter. I think it's not no better than that. So Hurd is one of the, probably the best junior middleweight right now. We don't know yet until he fights Jermel Charlo, but I think he is better than Charlo. So yeah, I think he will win rather, comfortably, rather easily. Perhaps Welborn, I think, may last a bit, but because Hurd doesn't have that many early stoppages, since he stepped up, so he, I guess, likes to take his time and all that. So I think this will go until the 8th round, and he wins by TKO. Enough about that. And now the big one. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Yeah. This is the one we have been waiting for most of the year, ever since it was announced. And yeah, there has been a lot of talk about this fight and a lot of theories what's going to happen. And I also made my own video on that subject, so I don't want to say too much now because I already covered it pretty well. But I think it's just all odds are against Fury and for Wilder here. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see Fury win, but because he's a really charismatic character, and he's gone pretty far on heart alone, and just how how much he's got a real fighting spirit, and that's what won him the fight against Vladimir Klitschko. And yeah, and he's never been really, really that good. Of course he can fight, but he's never really been. I think he's been getting too much credit, especially in Britain, for his boxing skills, because he's not really a boxer, in the true sense of the word. He's a kind of pressure fighter simply, and he wears his opponents out, and he uses his height, of course, and reach and strength and all that, his weight, and he's so massive. But I think people are. I read an article which says that he took so many big blows from Vladimir and they didn't have any effect. I don't think that's true, because Vladimir didn't really start pour it on until the last 3 or 4 rounds, and even then he didn't really. He won maybe 3 rounds. Fury can take punishment, that's for sure, but Wilder has really, this guy can hit, that's no debate about that. He is one of the hardest punchers in the sport today and ever. So I think Fury will do well in the first 7 to 8 rounds or something. First 6 rounds, and he will last at least 8. I think I can guarantee that. But after that, he will, as we saw in his last fight, against Pianeta, he was, at first he looked good, in the first 5 or 6 rounds, but then he started to slow down, and get tired, and because the guy hasn't fought for like nearly 3 years before he came back, and 2.5, okay. So that's pretty big. I mean, a long layoff for a young guy. You know, it's different when you are like 35, 36. Then it's good to make a layoff, you know, and, at least, but for a year, not longer. I think year or something like that, year and a half. So I don't know if Fury should have taken this fight. I don't think so. But it's gonna make him a lot of money for sure, and yeah. But if he should get really knocked out like badly and get too much beating, and that can be the end of his career. I mean, for sure. But we'll see. So anyway, I think Wilder will stop him eventually, somewhere after the 8th round. So it can happen any time after that, but I don't think it will happen before that. 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, yeah. So you can put down that if you want to listen to me. Yeah, so that was all. I think I said enough now. So that's all for now, and see you until the next time. Bye bye.